This is Dokoshlid in Navajo. It is San Francisco Peaks in English. And we've come here today to ask for the blessings of the spirit of the mountain. We ask that the spirits bless our project, and we also ask that whatever we work on will end to the benefit of both the Navajo and the Hopi people. It is a very sacred site, a very sacred mountain to both the Navajo and the Hopi. The Navajos see it as their mountain of the west, and there are 4 sacred mountains. To the Hopi, it is the place of their Kachina spirits. These are spirit messengers who spend 6 months on this peak and 6 months in the 12 villages in Hopi. This is actually the 3rd in a group of service learning projects that we've been doing. We started out merely coming on the reservation 3 years ago to investigate the seriousness of the uranium contamination. This time it was going to be on the water contamination. And of course, when you think about the water, you kind of think about what comes out of your faucets. But really here, when we talk about water, we're talking about soil contamination. We're talking about vegetation. And we're talking about the sheep that graze. Water is not a superficial subject at all. It's very core to all of the problems that they're having.
Yate.
Yate.
That means hello in Navajo. And my name is Larry Holiday. And I live in this area in the Monument Valley. And when we're coming up, you see some of these animals. They're very thirsty. They have green grass. Maybe there's a little water in it or not enough water in these grass. But they need a lot of water to survive out here.
How does the aquifer replenish?
The aquifer, the water here, the underground, it's all come from the mesa, and then they're from every rain that we get. It comes into this valley and becomes a lake underground. Down these roads, they used to build windmills for the animals, and they were very near the uranium mines, and a lot of them has to be flattened, put down. No more water. Out here behind the tank, there's a lot of uranium mines out here. 100 yards, right on the hill here. If you look over here, these local animals, they knew the water is here all these years. Now they're just waiting for somebody to turn on the water. Never happened. So they're dying here. So we had to find some way for a water source now. All these animals, they graze here, all here. Do you know what? We butcher them, we eat them.
Exactly. And we don't know to the extent of which, like their organs and the meat that's on their bones is contaminated.
And then again, in our way, we eat everything. We eat everything. We don't waste the meat. That's it, right here. There's the sign.
They say they're doing such a wonderful job.
Yeah, oh, I know, huh? They've never been out here, you know.
Yeah, right up here on the hill, there's one. There's your mine right there. So all that water comes down.
So it brings along with it all the uranium?
All the underground, above the ground, all that water comes right through here.
I mean, animals are crazy or unsafe.
This Skyline mine, and they say you can see the white stuff. That's the uranium.
And that still dust down?
And they're still coming down. When it rains, it's still washing down. Look, it's already white. It's whiter again. They said, oh, it's safe now. We scraped it all off. We took it all out. Look, so the people that live here, the family that live here, most of the kids are passed away.
Really?
Tumor, brain tumor. They just redone their home right next to it. They destroyed all the old houses, the old hogans. They demolished them, and they just built
Why did they build a new house there? Were they told that it was okay to build?
I guess.
This is where the water that's coming out from the well, and this is where we get the water for our sheep, for our horses, and also for our own self too. Every 2 days, I have to come down here to get water. To get this tank full, it takes about 45 minutes to fill it up. And this is where a lot of people, they get water from here. Some of them, they have a bigger water tank.
You could wait all day.
Yes, that's right. Sometimes we have a long line. This is the post office. Sometimes those trucks will be way down there, at least about 10 trucks will be waiting here.
Now, Daniel, how long have you been getting water from this spot?
I think it was almost about 50 years now.
And you're pretty confident that this water is good and clean? And
yes,
pure,
this
and...
is all these people like Cayente. Some of them, they get water from Cayente. Say the water is not good over there. Only here is very, very good.
Do you know how often they check the water to make sure it's clean?
I think they check it like every 2 months.
Oh.
Every 2 months.
Uranium due to historical mining and milling activities on the reservation. And the Navajo mothers are well-defined, accessible cohort for looking at uranium exposure measures.
We got money that really helped kickstart this process. So when you total what's been done in the last 5 years, more than $100 million was spent. We've tested 240 unregulated water sources and posted signs where the water is contaminated. We've conducted field surveys, as I said, at 521 sites. So you can go onto our website.
We have relied on the U.S. EPA Region 9 to take the lead among the federal agencies for a 5-year plan. And we're on track, I'm pretty sure it is. The activities for 5 years. Objective number 2, assessment of contaminated water source and provision of alternative water supply. Again, the federal government has done a reasonably good job of meeting the objective. Again, it is important for us to continue this task forward. We still do not know how many unregulated water sources may be contaminated by the past uranium mine and how many may be in the use for agriculture or even drinking water purpose. Objective number 7, remediation of groundwater contamination at 3 of the 4 former mill sites. These objectives have not been met with any indication to the contrary would be misleading. There is no end in sight to any of the remediation activity at any of the tailing sites. I recommend that we review the cleanup milestone to provide a better understanding of what is actually happening to the groundwater underneath and near these former mill sites. Let's go forward. Am I right on this? Let's go forward and get it done.
We didn't accomplish everything. I think one thing we can all agree on, and we all know, is that this problem is much larger and much more complicated and much more pervasive than anything that can be solved in 5 years. So our goal here for this conference, these 2 days, is to get all of your thoughts. This is a problem that can't be solved by individual agencies. It has to be solved by all of us.
I am not grassroots, but I feel I am because I have been on the Skyline Mesa, which I think you feel is very successful. I've watched the cleanup for the last, 3 or 4 years. Although it's been very well buried, they're saying there's a lot of sediment and dust that is still coming down on them. They feel that it is still danger. And I would like to ask this question, if it's at least a public relations problem, if nothing else. I think it has not been explained to them, and I think we'd like to have more clarification of whether that is still a danger.
In terms of the Skyline mine, that was a mine that we did complete a cleanup. However, you may or may not be aware, it is an interim cleanup in that we have heard the same concerns from people that are living nearby, as well as from the Navajo Nation, that you know, the goal would be to move contaminated soil off the nation. So we have heard that, but what we struggle with is just physically being able to do that financially, as well as just from a logistical standpoint, since there is so much.
And we're talking 5-year cleanup. We've been doing church rock for the last 10 years and it hasn't been even cleaned up. Then we have Lily Lane, I think she was talking on the radio. She wants to pump our water, our aquifer, and spray it up in the air and let nature take course. I mean, where are we going to get water again if you guys suck the whole water out? I'm here to tell you that what's there is dangerous. It's a dangerous element. They studied my father till a minute prior to him expiring. They told him this is what was killing them. And you want to study our children again?
فقط آیا شکل خلهم اتفاق دشت کار شاید چنین خود ایسه سبب آخری أسهلني که دونه هزان دبنیش آشیانی خود دشین بنشنی دون این نبا آخریات ایسه شاید اتخذش خواها بخواسته دادلی آدو تین جنوبا دهیا نکردید آنی آنه آده اید ابن نچه تین دا شد ایدا دول تالیا ایدا اصلا چنین خود تاگی چنیار ایدا استا ابن نچه با کنیزی دیچین نتا اونسناس کس.
Well, thank you. That was very eloquent. I wish I could translate it verbatim, but it was very, very moving. But just to highlight some of the important points that she said, she wants to, I thank the panelists from the San Francisco EPA and also members of the panelists up there. I thank my people for being here, and also our guests. Uranium mining has been a legacy in our family. It has taken lives. My brother, and then I'm here with my son. I know that he's being affected by it. I wish I could say more. Usually when I am here at gatherings like this on the legacy of uranium mining, I want to bring up the loss of family members, and I am also continuing to suffer various aspects of my health that's in jeopardy at this point because of uranium mining. So.
At times you might want to ask a question. I just asked him about, he says he's talking about his medicine man, helping him with his, his oxygen.
I did work in the uranium mine back in 1969. I was an underground electrician at the time. We did a lot of work with the uranium. At that time, there was no regulation as far as being protected from the dust or whatever the uranium is producing, So to this day, it does affect me, my breathing. I have an inhaler, I have a machine that I use at home that I have to really depend on at night to breathe.
You have lived in East Church Rock. What about the contaminated water situation there?
We have a windmill that is set up right in the area right there, and it's been posted not to be used for human consumption.
Okay, so that means it is contaminated.
Yes. Not too long ago, they ran a water line through the area, and we have a service as water, that we have to pay for.
Did you know, or were you discouraged when the EPA people were saying that they need to do so much work on East Church Rock, right? They don't say we're even close. They say we've got to do so much work there.
Same thing they're talking about. In 5 years, we'll have these things done. It's 25 years they're still talking about it. What are we going to do with these, in the long run? People are just talking from the mouth. They're not talking from the heart. nothing is being done, to satisfy the people that are hurt.
I didn't go to that meeting in Gallup, but from what I understood, and the additional 5 years future plan, I hope they include the water contamination here in VCA in King Valley, because they abandoned the project. Back in the 80s, they did say our water was contaminated, something like 600 and something billion gallons of water that's contaminated from the former VCA mine from the 1940 to 68. We don't have access to any updates on what's happening. 6 families in the valley, and that's not hard to forget their number. We're not human, I guess, and they overlook us, and that's one thing.
You felt that many of the elders had died of cancer and other related illnesses?
Every last one of them died, from being exposed one way or another.
Some of these cancers that he's talking about could have been produced by the water, not just the blowing of the radiation. It could have been caused by the water too,
We all got our water from there. Back in the 50s and early 60s, mainly in the 50s, I remember, right in the mine site, they used to have valves to return water on. The mine used to be up here, all the way up here. This water is very contaminated, I heard. This puddle here, I heard this puddle is very contaminated. And they're supposed to have that thing around it to keep the cattle, but they're drinking it. I want to show you the water that we've been getting our water from all these years. Is that little well right there? That'll probably kill us more in the years to come. Since the 60s, I think, it's been here. In the 80s, when the government when they did sampling, he says, you shouldn't be using those water. But we didn't know. I mean, the thing was, you had a hose like that, and you turn the tap on, and you fill up your barrel in a matter of seconds, minutes, and that was. I'd rather get my water from there than here pumping it all day, The family, you think about it, it's really sad. These people didn't know their water was contaminated. I noticed that they got health problems with the new babies, and some of them are, they do have skin problems. They do have, I'm sure the water affects them in a lot of ways. But then, as Navajos, you just don't go telling the world your problem. It's something that's very private.
They don't seem to care about it, cleaning it good, like what you said, the water and the soil and whatnot. A few years back, there was the loves that were having babies, and they were born without the light and the tail and the ears and blind. So what we talk about it to them, they don't seem to care about it, because they're not around and they're not here. They're way out somewhere. I don't know how many people that came down. Well, I usually save all their carts, I had a box full of it, maybe 2 boxes full of it. Say they're going to go and come back, but then they never came back. So that's why I'm saying, who am I talking to? Where does my work go?
You don't have anybody you can go to and talk to about this and say, I need help. I want you to fix this. I want you to help me. There's nobody here. So you just wait till they come out, and that's it.
Yep.
Do you feel safe living around here?
This is home. We ain't got no other place to go.
Having interviewed so many Navajo. Now we're heading for the Hopi Reservation. The Tuba City dump is notorious for being highly contaminated, and the fact that the water, what the big problem with these contaminated sites, of course, is that even if they try to do something with them, they have not stopped the water from seeping down into the aquifer and therefore causing all kinds of difficulty. This will be the first time that I'm really able to investigate how deeply that runs.
We're about 5 miles east of Tuba City. Some of the residents used to work at this uranium site here. Right now, the concern is that this site here is not containing what is supposed to have been the purpose for this whole thing here, for the remediation part of it. As you can see there, they put some graveling and everything else, and did what they could, I guess, as best as far as removing some of the exposed dirt and things like that. Main concern for Tuba and more the upper village of Moenkopi is that there's the radiation plume, which they believe has gone down into the ground, is slowly moving and migrating into the groundwater. We have several test wells, monitoring wells that are set up to keep track as to whether the plume is consistently moving forward toward the upper village of Moenkopi supply wells. And the EPA does know about all this. They keep coming up with the same results. According to their findings, there is a definite plume down there. How fast it is moving, we don't know yet.
How many times does the EPA come down? Do they come down at all?
They've come down, I would say, about 3 or 4 times. Within the past year, they have been, they've been pretty available. I think both the Hopi tribe, upper village of Moenkopi, and even the Navajo tribe are kind of getting to the point where we're constantly getting studies done. When is something going to actually be done? Exactly, exactly. When they did this site here, I'm sure the technology wasn't really that available like it is nowadays. But right now, I'm sure they can even do a little more better with the current technology that they do have. As far as preventing other leakage or anything else going into the ground and other ways of doing it. Right now we're here at what they call the former Tuba City open dump pit. This formerly used to be where the residents of the village of Tuba City and Moenkopi would dump their trash in a big open pit. They found some what they call some little uranium balls in a couple of the spots here. I'll be honest with you, at the time when that was found, the EPA were still saying that had nothing to do with the uranium or anything like that. But the person that found it was one of the Navajo EPA employees. They accused her of actually placing it there. But when that happened, then eventually, the guidelines for the EPA came up, so they closed the pits here. They've set up monitoring wells a lot here in this site, but there's also other wells located around the area here just to keep an eye on.
What are they monitoring for, first off? And secondly, how often do they come out to check the data, and who gets it?
They're monitoring mainly for the uranium, which is the main concern here. As far as others like arsenic and other things like that, I'm not too sure how in depth they are going into those types. They've been out here for about the past 2 months now. Pretty much almost on maybe twice a week coming in. With the high winds here, a lot of those the homes through there are definitely being affected.
One of the interesting things at the conference too is that that was one of the 8 that they felt they had not done nearly enough on. Tuba City was mentioned, dump was mentioned many times as very dangerous. So apparently they are aware of that, but I didn't see any timeline when it was going to be done.
It is, that is a big controversy here for this area, and especially for both communities, Tuba and Moenkopi.
Some of the sites around the Umshur site haven't been measured for uranium contamination. The EPA talked about that was one of the objectives that needed to be taken care of, that it needed to be cleaned. Seep down into the water, and when it goes into the water, it also goes into the soil. I just feel they have to get out there and do it. They have to take care of this.
It just hurts to see them live this way because that's all they know. This is home to them. A lot of people have to get water from water pumps. This is like the norm. It'd be all over the news, breaking news. Anyone that's contaminated on the reservation should have a Geiger counter. So they know, where to go, where to get their water.
Until we went to that convention, you didn't really understand the magnitude that these people are actually feeling. We started off at the convention with this absolutely beautiful invocation. She did use the eagle feather. I thought was extremely beautiful and heartwarming. This is what they live. This is where their spirits are. I don't think any of us who are on this trip can go home and not reflect back on it and try to do more to help these people.
To know that these people, the Navajo, the Hopi, have been here for thousands of years, and to know that a lot of the water that they drink, the soil that they grow crops on and raise cattle and sheep, has been contaminated with uranium. The sadness was a lot for me to handle, but it made it very, very real for me.
I'm leaving with a kind of a wonderful sense that my students really learned, that they are going to be giving back to the community, and both in alerting them even more to the dangers of what's going on, because the more we talk to the people, the more they themselves become educated. This film, educational film that we're doing, that too will be sent to the EPA with the communities and with the Navajo themselves.